Hello, everybody. Love and blessings to you and all's dear to you. As always, I'm absolutely appreciative of all comments, emails that's sent to me. If anybody else wants to email me, it's john@allforsynchronicity.com. I read all the comments that's left on all the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, BitChute, and I appreciate everything. Without you guys, it's morale boosting. It keeps us sharing the vibe. I appreciate sharing the vibe with you guys, and I appreciate you taking the time to write back at me. Anybody that contributes to me in donations, it's all going towards the book and getting the book finished. And also, I'm hoping to get a new camera, which will let me walk around and make some other videos with you guys, or at least be in a better situation for you. And as you can see, I've made a little prop studio here rather than a green screen. So hopefully with the new camera, we can show you some lovely scenery of Scotland. So if you do wish to contribute, that's where all the contributions are going. And I thank you dearly for all contributions received. Moving on to today's short show, I'm hoping to present to you some interesting information. True News, don't know how many of you follow them, but truenews.com if you wish to have a look. They released some really interesting conversations on the 27th episode, 27th of April, the episode of that day. Go check it out. I'll put a link in the description, but I'm going to share with you two short pieces from it. But there was so much juicy stuff, and I'll give you one example of the juicy stuff, which I will not be showing on my episode. But they discussed that there was a university campus banned any staff that's been vaccinating for working for them, because they're unsure of the vaccine. And so far, and the statement released by them was, either university, was to do with the vaccines are showing blood clots and issues and other things, so they don't even want to have that in their forte. And if you think about it, you don't want staff just to be passing out in the middle of a flicking lecture. So with all the unsurety, that's where the drama's going. Quite fun. And that's not the first company or entity to say that they don't want vaccinated people working for them. Really interesting. Much more to come. So in today's episode as well, I noticed through this week, the guy that's trying to become the mayor of London, he had some interesting events, and this is just shows you how much the big boys club is really scared of this guy. And for the first time ever, the mayors of London had a televised debate. You know, the mayor of London let it go alone as a fake thing, because there's two actual cities of London. There's a city of London and London. So one rules the other. It's always been like that since the 1100s. Anyway, sure, and this fake broadcasting thing, they didn't even invite Brian Rose to the own thing. Brian's way ahead with the potential of winning, much like, the Scottish independence vote. We'll count yes, while too many yes will make no's. So anyway, pray for Brian, pray for miracles, give him some success. Go check his channel out. I was thinking of actually playing you a snippet of him speaking about this debate, but let's not waste my broadcast time with you guys, because time is very precious. So without further ado, let me run over to True News, and you can come back to me in a minute or two.
And then we can stand up at the back.
No, you can contact. No. You can contact my lawyer. Okay, my lawyer takes care of this. I'm not interested to listen to any word you have to say. I do not cooperate with the Gestapo. I do not talk to the Nazis. You came in your uniforms like thugs. That's what you are. Brown shirts of Adolf Hitler. You are Nazi, Gestapo, communist, fascist. I do not cooperate with Nazis. Talk to my lawyer. You're not allowed here. You're not welcomed here. And I'm not going to cooperate with Gestapo like you, okay? So is that fair enough for you? Talk to my lawyer.
I just wanted to explain a little bit about the order.
I'm not interested.
At least have a conversation.
I'm not interested in talking. You see, this is what the Gestapo is doing. You're coming to the place of worship to intimidate and to harass. So you can make an appointment. Lady, listen to me. You can make an appointment another day. You Gestapo! Another day! Not this day! Not this day! Not during the church! You understand? Make an appointment! Okay, so go! See you later on. Have a good day. You are sick. That's what you are. And rightfully so, you change your uniforms to black because you're exactly acting like the Gestapo of old.
Wow, praise the Lord.
I wish he would get angry.
Yes. Now there's a man of God.
Amen.
There's somebody that will not be intimidated by the communists. Congratulations.
No king but Jesus.
This is what we've got to do. And he's at risk. He's standing there in front of armed police officers, and they backed down again. They backed down again. Right? They're armed. They could arrest him. They could taser him. They could shoot him. But he's fearless. And he has drawn the line, and he said, "You're on church property. Get out." And then he just tells them who and what they are. You're Nazis. You're brown shirts. Go, leave. And then did you see the way the little health officer, she just, I got to get out of here. I mean, and then the cops, they start backing up.
They walked backwards.
Pushing back.
Yes.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's an example of how we need to stand up. We do have rights. Yes. We have rights. There is no way the Constitution allows for any church in America to be closed. None. You have the right to assembly. It's a God-given right, not even a right given by the Constitution. It's a right given by God.
There's a pastor in Jamaica that's also in trouble.
Yes. And they're even threatening to take away the broadcasting license that he has for his Christian station.
Yes,
radio station?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The biggest in the area, Reverend Jeffrey Shuttleworth. I spoke to his lawyer last week. He's a pastor of Tarrant Baptist Church. They're coming after him for questioning the safety of a recent vaccine drive in Jamaica. Now, the issue has been that the vaccine drive was happening right as the United States was halting the giving of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the questioning of AstraZeneca over in Europe. He said, how do we know that this is actually safe? And I'm not going to advise to my congregation to use this. He said this on air. So not only are they coming after him for his church not following the guidelines, but now they're saying they might have to revoke his license because he's been illegally commingling his ministry and his broadcast. What they're saying is you can't have a platform as a pastor, as a Christian, to preach truth to violence here.
In Jamaica.
In Jamaica.
Right. And we really have to watch this because this is the slope that Canada went down in their broadcasting too. Here, don't assume that we always have the freedoms that we do here in America. Canada, you can't speak out against gay marriage. You probably can't speak out against vaccinations on Christian radio, I would assume there as well. And don't think that just because it happens in Canada or Jamaica, it can happen here. They will. I mean, the government will say, you have to shut down.
I mean, Doc, the corporations, the tech corporations are shutting them down.
Yes.
We've been deplatformed.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't even require the government to do it, just the fascist government to do it.
Yeah, the corporate government is doing it. They're shutting down preachers who will not submit to their authority. And so we don't need a government here to do it. In Canada, it's the government. But here, the government is Silicon Valley and the far left political activists that are acting like Nazis. In Great Britain, there was a massive outpouring over the weekend against lockdowns.
500,000, they say, were in the streets of London. They had signs such as "No vaccine passports" and "Hands off our children." Now, this is just in England, a place that most of the population has submitted in part to some of the lockdowns. Well, Rick, it's gotten warm enough now where they're saying we are done and we are awake and growing.
That's a big deal. 500,000 people show up in London for a protest. That's a big deal. Something's happening. Boris Johnson is in trouble. All of them. all the political establishment is in trouble, including the monarchy.
Yes.
The monarchy could fall right now. It's in a very weakened condition right now. Prince Philip died. The Queen is very elderly. Harry has gone bonkers. Charles is old. Nobody wants him as the king. I mean, we could actually see the monarchy collapse right now.
Now, just before we let him play one more small piece, later on, that protest in the UK, it turned out to be about 750,000 people, 750,000, half. And that was just later confirmed, because obviously all these numbers are estimated. Comparing it to previous protests, it was definitely one of the biggest in England, a long time. It's really interesting. If I go back to the True News episode, he's going to speak about one of the advisors that was to the UK Boris Johnson's cabinet. I don't want to let him ramble on too much, but I would like to play it a little bit more, because there's another part after it that's really interesting, and it's not about the vaccine in the way, but another one of these interesting ones. So without further ado, I'm going to go back to True News, and then we'll finish up with a few other interesting thoughts from myself. So please stand by.
There's an interesting story, the National Pulse, about who is the biggest advocate for maximum lockdowns in Great Britain.
Yeah, so someone among those 500,000 started looking at the background of who are the advisors paid by the government to put our country into this lockdown we're rebelling against. Well, one of them is a professor named Susan Michie. Now, Susan Michie is known as Stalin's nurse and Sterling's, I'm serious, Stalin's nanny. The reason for this is that she's so much of a communist, a 40-year communist at that, that even the hardcore Marxists, when she goes to conferences, when she was a young mother, they actually searched her buggy where her child was in to make sure she wasn't bringing in the most hardcore of Marxist propaganda. Well, the Marxist propaganda in this sense, the stuff that she's advising the British government, is that they need to have draconian lockdowns, not just small lockdowns, Chinese-style maximum lockdowns.
It does make you laugh, in the sense that it's just
she's a senior member.
shocking. I want to skip past this article. Rick and them, they have a really interesting conversation about most of this. So stand by. Thank you.
Get vaccinated. Well, Rick, you talk about people waking up, and I think in part they are, especially when they hear news anchors having little Freudian slips while on television. Now, Wichita, Kansas, one such Freudian slip was caught, and we were able to track down the video. This past week, an anchor actually said on TV that the vaccine is for euthanasia.
What?
Yeah, listen to this.
Some Kansas counties are rejecting new COVID vaccine shipments or reducing their orders because of a drop in demand, and that is worrying health officials who call mass vaccinations the only path to a return to normalcy. Almost 4 months into the vaccination effort, providers are beginning to run out of people who want to be immunized.
Did you hear that?
He did say euthanasia.
He said euthanasia. Why would he be even thinking about euthanasia? I know there's some people, well, maybe it's just a slip. No, you don't just slip and say euthanasia.
I want to hear that again.
Some Kansas counties are rejecting new COVID vaccine shipments or reducing their orders because of a drop in demand, and that is worrying health officials who call mass vaccinations the only path to a return to normalcy. Almost 4 months into the vaccination effort, providers are beginning to run out of people who want to be immunized.
Whoops.
Euthanized.
No, I don't want to be euthanized.
Yeah, well, they did it in the nursing homes. They euthanized them. Governor Cuomo murdered 15,000 senior citizens.
You notice we're not talking about that anymore.
No.
We're not talking about all the women that he molested. We're not talking about that anymore.
No,
Isn't that weird?
And we're also not talking about Matt Gaetz.
Yes. Yeah.
It just went away, didn't it? So, What's our next topic? Oh, our title is about the WHO.
And we have been speaking about the WHO's ideology, but something you found, Rick, was very interesting, is that the WHO didn't just come up with vaccine passports and even requirements and advisements to airlines this past year. This actually dates back to a treaty signed in 1933.
The WHO.
The WHO, actually, the treaty we're going to show you here is the precursor. The organization behind the treaty is the precursor to the World Health Organization. And they were thinking about tyranny long before you and I were born. Now, we start this by talking about their latest inception of this. We thought this was new. They're calling for a new pandemic treaty for a World War II style collaboration. This was only last month. The call was that they were going to come into an extrajudicial treaty, the United States being sucked into this too, which would overpower local jurisdictions that were still putting up a fight.
It was this ABC News story last month that got us thinking, what is the World Health Organization doing? What is a new treaty, like World War II style collaboration for future global health emergencies? So that got us investigating the history of the World Health Organization. And man, did we find some interesting things. And you just mentioned a treaty. That treaty in 1933, it's actually the culmination of a series of sanitary conferences that were being held among nations going back to around 1853, 1857, something like that. And so governments around the world were meeting to talk about sanitation. And then where it really started to pick up momentum is with the advent of commercial airline transportation.
Right.
And so you had people flying from one country into another country, and some of them were sick. Now, there's a legitimate concern of governments. This has never happened before. I mean, you had ships, but ships move slow. And the captains of ships, they knew who was sick on board. Had a system to quarantine sick people on the ships.
And had for centuries.
Centuries, that when they arrived at a port, the captain informed local government officials, hey, I got 2 people locked up.
They got typhoid or whatever it might be.
They're sick. All right.
I didn't want to ramble on too much, but you can see what 2 News is tapping in. I will put a link to the full episode for you guys to follow up on that. And it is worth the effort of listening to the whole episode. It's been a very interesting one. And just to share some thoughts for you guys, just share some hopeful wisdoms, some inspiration, give you some insight. These times are always testing. It's a test for an individual. It's a test for us all, consciously, spiritually. And of course, if you're not evolving to yourself, then you're never really learning. You're just continuing like yesterday. So really, you're not dying to yourself. You're dying from your old ways. You're not learning. There's passages in the book that gives us some great wisdoms. And the one that I'll leave you with for today, he that dwelleth in secret places of Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the nonsense of the pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His trust shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror of the night, nor for the arrow that fleeth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in the darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and tens of thousands shall fall at thy right hand, But I shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh their dwelling. For he shall give his angels cover thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hand, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, and the young lion and the dragon shall thou trample under feet. Because he that set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he have known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honour him. With long life will I sanctify him and show him my salvation. Psalms 91, guys. Go give it a read. Now, why do I pick on there today? Because, you know, these trialing times, these interesting tests that each of us are facing with, you know, some of you are finding individual challenges, some of you are finding stronger challenges farther afield. There's always answers in the book you can enjoy. You should be listening to the words. And, you know, there's True News picked on some really cool articles through the week. A lot of interesting things still being played in the media. The key is to keep your heart in the right game and to keep ignoring all the fears. You know, stay away from the witchcraft, manipulation of your awareness. Expand your awareness, grow more each day, and stop persevering, stop struggling, stop believing you're poor. All those that have got a lot of things, they've got a lot of things to make the others jealous. You know, that's what the Gentiles are. Gentiles get things to make the faithless jealous of their faith and getting things. Have more faith, guys. The secret, you know, strange secret. Hello. Grow faith. God bless you guys. Love and blessings from Scotland. Wishing you a great weekend. Next week, hoping to make some more videos, and soon to come, more camera, better equipment, getting outside, show you some lovely Scotland. God bless you guys. I didn't manage to get the video up for the weekend, so we're now in May. And I'm still going to upload the parts of the video I made for the end of April, reading a bit of Psalms 91. I've had a few interesting comments and thoughts, and thus I didn't upload the video, and thus I'm in May. And some of them were people asking questions about the prophetic aspects of the Bible, or, you know, the work of the Christ, or the work of Jesus, whichever label suits yourself on the stuff. And it reminds me of the Rudolf Steiner, the anthroposophical aspects that we can learn from the works of Steiner. And I'd like to share with you a little piece, and just to conclude on some of the questions and thoughts that I'm sharing here. The aspects of the real Christ, the real Jesus, is all prophetic. So even though you can read something about history, you can also read something about the future. And when you get to the reality of faith, you start to realize the true Jesus Christ, not the parts that's time set. And then the parables start to become very clear, because like breaking down language as an example, most of English that we speak is broken English. It's set in the past tense, and thus we can't truly communicate properly, and that's why parables are timeless, or time set, timeless. Interesting, isn't it? It's like living in this world that everybody believes is a polarity, when really it's a triad. You know, the aspect of this world is much more than negative and positive. And everybody will, you know, like, people will believe in the divine. In order to see the divine, they need to know the diva. And if you know the diva created divine and devil. And there's your polarity. But there is a third, and I'll give you an example. You don't need to play with either. You could be out with. There's your triad, there's your three. So you're out of the polarity. And from this perspective, you can see two. And this is where most people get lost, find themselves their piece, their label, and they put everything into it. And like I shared from Psalms 91, even in there it says at times of plagues, the one that's out with those polarities, they're going to watch thousands fall and tens of thousands fall. And if you want to put a label, you're going to watch the faithless fall, you're going to watch the faith fall. Are they in the same game? Are they stuck in the duel? Are they the true faithful ones? And I'll give you an example. If we put the faith in the garden, if we're in the Garden of Eden, if we're in a garden that's of God, then why are you scared of something in the garden? The germ theory, for an example, for 200 years they've debated germs, saliva. I mean, in 1918, when Steiner was doing his stuff, they even took mucus from others and injected it into others, and those didn't get the plague that they were suffering then. So here we are now, 200 years, 100 years on with the same germ theory. All of a sudden the germs have got wings. Do you have faith that some sort of placebo is going to stop this thing with wings flying about? It's even more pop. It's like, as Snowden said, how do you tell a world full of lies that they're all living lies? How do you tell them truth in a world that's so stuck? Anyway, guys, I thought I would share some insight. That's the stuff of why I delayed a video, and to share a piece of Steiner's reading, a bit of the books. There's a book I'm reading here, The Philosophy of Freedom. And it's basically a overview of the Steiner's life, his works. And to share a piece here, the belief that science can deal only with the objective world has led to the position where many scientists are quite unable to see whether the real world is familiar world of their surroundings, as experienced through the sense and the picture in the images, or the theosophical world of spinning particles, imperturbable force and statistical probabilities that is inferred from their experimenting results. Here Steiner's path of knowledge can give a firmer basis of natural science than it has ever had before, as well as providing a sure foundation for development in spiritual science. Although there are many people who find all that they need in the contemplating of the wonders of the spiritual world, the philosophy of freedom does not exist mainly to provide a philosophical justification for that belief. Its main value lies in the sound basis it can give to those who cannot bring themselves to accept anything that is not clearly scientific. A basis of knowledge for self-knowing, for the moral action, for life itself. Well, guys, this is just a snippet from the Steiner works, and one of the reasons why I got attached to the anthroposophical view and works, the freedom that you can set yourself to see so much more is wonderful. And there was a Swami Yogananda who traveled to America. He said some really things that tapped on the Steiner works for me, and one of them was his perception of this world, and he is living it in a movie. And if you look around everything that you see, once you start to separate yourself from the duad, you can actually start to tap into that sense where Yogananda speaks of it in the movie sense. And there, I think, is where you start feeling like, as Buddha says, the amazement of the whole realm. It's there's no more the devil, the diva. It's just all congealed together, and it's amazing how it all interacts in the way it does. And you get people come up to you and they'll tell you their truth, and their truth is And you know straight away they're telling lies. You know that they're trying to hide their true self because they're in their maya. They're lost to their little ludidy and they're playing. You just sit there and you know it yourself. You got to hold your tongue because you're the smarter one that's kind of seeing the whole perception. But that individual is just totally deluded. And you sit there and you go, Anyway, guys, listen, lots of love from Scotland.